Hey, welcome back to my channel. I know I don't post as much as I should or as often as I should, but even look at this, like even the complexion of my face, like you can tell when I'm like midterm, mid-semester, because it really does take a toll on my body sometimes. Like I don't eat the way I should eat. I don't sleep for sure the way I should sleep. There's a lot. So, but but this is me in the raw. Like this is what it is when, it is what it is. What I wanted to talk about is something that I've heard a lot. So I've been to a couple of conferences just to network and stuff. I really like the conferences. I advise you, if you're a nurse practitioner student, go to these conferences, network, volunteer. I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but the topic that's been around that I've noticed a lot is self-care. So I started thinking about like my self-care, and there's a person that I started liking on Facebook that came to the conference to speak, and that's what she does. Like, she's a professional licensed therapist, and she talks about self-care in businesses and how we get passion fatigued rather than, I think it's a fancy word for burnout. Like, we can get burned out really easily, really quickly. And so this video is mainly about my self-care, how I try to self-care myself. Wait a minute, back it up. So when I try to do self-care for myself, I try to incorporate it as much as possible, because if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. If mama's crazy, everybody's crazy. Then also motherhood. Like, I know I talk a lot about school, but how do I prioritize my kids, my family time, my school, my studying? Like, how do I prioritize that? My kids, my husband, my immediate family, like, they are important to me. Number one, my kids and my husband, for sure. My church family is also important to me. So I don't have the radio on because there's time, obviously because I'm doing the video, but there's times where I purposely drive in silence. It's just me, Jesus, and my own thoughts. I should make sure like that. My car is like my prayer room sometimes. I pray here, I cry here, I scream here, I laugh here, I talk to myself here, I talk to Jesus here. Just get grounded a little, like just, quiet self-time. Like, if that's something you like, great. Or if you like spending time with other people, like being around people and socializing, make priority for that in your life if that's something that makes you happy. Because when you start removing, as our conference speaker was saying, when you start removing things that you used to love and you enjoy doing that would de-stress your life because you don't have time for that, because you have so many other priorities and things, you start to lose yourself. And then that's when all this depression and anxiety and self-worth questioning and all that stuff starts to come to surface. So this is kind of this is what I like. I like quietness. I love to read books. So these are just a few of my favorite books that I like to have with me on as much as possible. Well, especially this one. This is my Bible. As you can tell, this is what I call my battle Bible. This is what I do all my battles on my knees with. I've had this Bible forever. Tears are in this Bible. Got me through some tough times, and I have been able to praise my good times. So this is a Praying Woman's devotional. I love Stormy Omartian. I've been reading her books for years, at least 10 years. She has The Power of a Praying Wife, Power of a Praying Husband, The Power of a Praying Marriage. It's The Power of a Praying Woman. I have all the books, but I grabbed the ones that were on my nightstand. So I just want to read without always having to be in my books. If you see over here, I have my textbook, like that's me in a nutshell here. But for my self-care, like, this is what I try to do. I don't do it often, and I wish I could. And someday, once I finish my schooling, I'll be able to do more. And so this definitely gives me a lot of relief, a lot of strength. Love these books. Those books. I am a bookworm. I love books, which if I ever show my sons and my daughters' books collection, like, they have tons of books, because that's how I learn. That's how I relax. That's how I enjoy my downtime. I use my Kindle for ebooks, for my textbooks that I can rent or that I can purchase to just keep on my Kindle and not have to worry about having all these books to go in my book bag. when I go to school. But in there, I actually, one day I was looking for one book that's called Becoming Mom Strong, and I recommend it to you guys. It's an amazing book. So I haven't finished reading through it, but it talks about being a mom in this world that we live in. She's a pastor's wife, 7 kids, I believe, and how, not to be so hard on ourselves on trying to raise our kids in the world that we live in today. And so it's a really good book. But how do you prioritize your kids? Like, do you ever feel guilty, or do you ever feel like you have time for them, or what do you make time for in your life while you got all this going on? Am I the only one that feels guilty? Because, like, I feel like I'm doing sometimes 30% of everything rather than 100% of everything. I mean, that's life. You're never going to be 100%, because as long as you hold yourself to those high standards, you're always going to feel like, how can I better my time? How can I better my progress, my efficiency, my cost effectiveness, whatever it is, whether it's in business, whether it's in personal life. I just want to spend time with him and my kids. Like, I just want to do that. And so I apologize if I don't get a chance to go to everybody's parties, but I've had to learn that it's okay, because at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to regret the time I have spending with my kids and my husband, and I know my mom was always there. So my parents were always there. Like, I always remember them being there. So I try to make sure to do that for my kids, and try to be around as much as possible so that they don't even notice that I'm busy. They don't even notice that I'm doing schoolwork. I mentioned it before that I do my schoolwork when they go to sleep. Or if I have a day off, I'll like crunch everything I can in within that day and then go pick them up. They have an idea that I go to school, because I always say, oh yeah, mommy has homework tonight, or oh yeah, but I never do it around them, because what happens, I've tried that once where I'm like, well, my son's doing his homework, he's 5, but I can do it with him, and I find that I'm having a hard time focusing on him and focusing on my homework. So I just don't even do it anymore. I just stopped doing that. So when they're going to bed is when I also do homework. So my phone has an app, and whatever university that you're at, sometimes it has an app, and it has all your lectures, and you can look at your lectures, your PowerPoints, recordings. So when my daughter starts falling asleep, I try to, like, she's so little, and I still want to hold her as much as possible. So if I'm holding her and rocking her back and forth, like, I'm like this with my phone, like, let me see here. Okay, let me stop. Usually if I do that, she's sound asleep, and I just hold her for a little bit longer, and I'll look at my phone, because I'm like, I'm either holding her, she's sound asleep, she don't even know that I'm on my phone. So I'd rather do that than just put her down and then go study. Like, I'm gonna get the same amount of information, but I get to hold her a little bit longer. For our house, I'm very big about bedtime. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, your kids go to bed so early. But it's because they have to wake up so early. We all have to wake up early. We are up by 5:30. So our bedtime is early, and I miss a lot of events outside of my home because bedtime is early. But bedtime is important to us. What we do is we pick a book. Like, we all read together. So sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's 2. And then we pray together. We pray for everybody sometimes, because my kids are like, don't forget about this and don't forget about that. And so I'm okay with that, because I'm teaching them the love of reading and the love of praying. And I know when I was a kid growing up, we used to do that, and I'm sure it stopped when we were teenagers, and we didn't want to, again, we pray again. But now I realize the importance of praying together as a family. So we try to do that as much as possible. Obviously, if we are home late for whatever reason and they fall asleep in the car, we put them to bed. But that's like our time. That's like our family time. So I like that. And then I put my daughter to bed. My husband puts my son to bed. It just makes it a little bit easier. And then it gives us like time with our kids, And then once they're in bed, it's still early, and it's mommy and daddy's time. Whether that's just watching TV, whether that's him exercising, me studying, like, it could be anything. It could just be us like, all right, good night, see you tomorrow. But it's our time. It's our time for us, or our times to do stuff that we needed to do without the kids being like right there, because they're literally like right here all the time. Are there ever times where I'm like, man, I really wish if I could just study? And have I been called out on it by my husband? Yeah, like, Anna, you're on that phone again. Anna, what are your books doing out? Anna, I'm like, okay. There's been times where I have been called out on it because then I get too overconsumed about, I gotta study. I got this assignment. I got this. I got that. And then there's times where like, I know in the back of my head I have it, but my son's like, hey, can we go ride bikes? Or Mom, it's a pretty day. Can we go in the backyard? And inside of me, I'm like, do you have any idea how much homework I have, how much studying like in the back of my head? But I'm like, they have no idea. They're little. Like, they don't know. They just know mommy's here and they want to play. So sometimes I'm like, okay, if I have to have another, and that's why I look so tired all the time, because sometimes I stay up really late to study because I'd rather have that time with my kids. Days, you know what, that homework's not going to get done for me today. But so what I do is I do a deadline for a deadline. Like if I know my school deadline is this day, I'm gonna put my own personal deadline for like a week, sometimes even a week and a half before that deadline. So that way, if things happen, I'm just not gonna do anything today because I'm tired and my kids are frustrated and we're all frustrated. Let's just go to Dairy Queen. Because has that happened? Yes, it has. If you set those deadlines prior to your actual syllabus deadline, that helps you a little bit more because like, I gotta finish it by this day. Like that's for me, that's what works for me. I'm like, okay, I gotta finish it by my personal deadline. So then I have that flexibility. So when my real deadline comes, I'm usually just overviewing stuff. And I'm not like stressed to the point where I'm like, oh my God, I don't have time to do this because my kid got sick or, because I had to do this project, help Aiden do this project for school and, because those things happen, those things come up. So I hope this has helped you to see what kind of things that you enjoy to kind of make sure don't lose those along your process. Even if you're not doing school, even if it's just, you're just living life and you feel like you're like stuck and you don't know what's going on and you feel empty and you feel like you may be in a crowded room and you're still so alone. Like, find out those things that really made you happy at one point, even if it was back in your childhood. Like, find out those things and make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure, and when I mean take care of yourself, I don't mean ignore your kids that are calling you because they're hungry and you're trying to meditate and have a face mask. No, I'm talking about like, take time to take care of yourself, whether it's reading, whether it's praying, whether it's just sitting quietly for a little bit, whether it's, you like certain bath bubbles or you like to get your mani and pedi. Well, count some time out for that, knowing that it's not going to take out of your kids' time, and if you're like, what time? I have baseball, I have football, I have all these other extracurricular activities with my kids. Been there, done that. What I'm trying, I guess my purpose is if like you don't make that time for yourself, you're only giving your family a little bit of you. What they used to have of you is no longer there. And then, all that you're working for, all that you're doing for is pointless. There's no point for it because you can work and work and work and spend money. And guys, I'm working this hard for y'all so that y'all can have what y'all want and have the things y'all need. But what they really need is us, our kids, our husband, our wives. What they really need, not just our kids. Don't forget your husband. Don't forget your spouse. What they really need is us. They just need our time to listen and all that good stuff. So, yeah.